Being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
We're behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. Then when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. That will be all right.
Welcome to Football University with Matt Caddell. I'm Matt Caddell, former University of Alabama wide receiver, number 11, hopefully number 1 in your heart. Hey, this is our first time. We're glad everybody's tuned in. Football University with Matt Caddell, where we cover football, one-on-one, college courses, diving deep, getting great analysis, but keeping it Bama-oriented with a good Bama twist, always about the roll, tide, roll, and let's get it going. So we want to welcome everybody here. So I just want to start first. I'm going to go dive right in here. My first course is football 101, and I really want to talk about what's really impressing me this past weekend as far as football, and really diving into it and just covering the landscape. And we can, like I said, we want to make everything Alabama related, and I will cover Alabama on the tail end. So football 101, what really impressed me this past weekend was I'll start with the NFL, was the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like the Chiefs were they really impressed themselves. They showed themselves why they were the Chiefs going into San Francisco. And what I like about it is, they have a good system offensively with Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid calling plays. You saw that they were just, one thing I love about them is how they utilize so many different weapons even without Tyreek Hill. I mean, just creative plays. And I really want to go in depth because I feel like that's what Alabama could use when it comes to Bill O'Brien and his playbook. Is really being creative, kind of being innovative, you know. Those are some of the things. So that's how we're going to interact with this podcast, cover topics and feel like where can Alabama, you know, use certain areas. But I mean, kudos to Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes, but the way they scored points and just, you know, used matchups in their system, the Chiefs let them know that they were the Chiefs. Um, Collegiately, speaking on Alabama, I would love to say I'm glad to see Alabama get back on the winning side. Not many penalties. So I was glad to see that. Like I said, I think for me is for me, Alabama, like I said, talking about offensive systems, being creative, being innovative, you know, having the flow of the game. You know, the Chiefs started Pacheco instead of Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, so he presents a more of a downhill type of runner, physical, a different type of tone. I mean, they utilize their tight end Kelsey, and they utilize many different playmakers. And I feel like that's what we have to do at Alabama is utilize as many playmakers as possible, whether it's a JoJo Earl or, you know, a Trayshawn Holden or Brooks. We need to make that happen. And so, all in all, Alabama needs to be like the Chiefs. Moving forward, coming out of this bye week, we need to let people know that, you know, just like the Kansas City Chiefs are still the Chiefs, we need to let people know Alabama is still Alabama. And let's get this offense rolling and let's make our playmakers make plays. Secondly, and again, people, feel free to get in the comments section, questions you want to ask. Roll Tide, let's go. Let's talk football. I'm excited. Another team that really impressed me, and I gotta give him because he's related to Alabama, Brian Daboll, the head coach of the New York Giants. He was really, he's really turned around. You know, I really got to meet him, meet the family, meet my wife. I mean, he's really smart, up northern type of guy, but you can see how he's taken over the leadership with the New York Giants. He's got those guys rolling at 6-1. And what gets me most excited about the Giants is the way Brian Daboll plays to his players' strengths. I'm really impressed by them. I mean, they've beaten Green Bay. He's really simple, but he's finding creative ways and really utilize that offensive line with Evan Neal, Thomas, Daniel Jones. He's really playing to the strengths of Daniel Jones being a running gun type of quarterback that can do things. But I mean, what I'm seeing with them, they are, you know, they might be trailing 2 touchdowns, but at the end of the day, the adjustments that Daboll and his staff make with Kafka at the helm as the OC, and defensively, they're holding teams maybe less than 25 points, but offensively, they're able to do creative, innovative things. And I feel like that's what Alabama has to be able to do, be creative and innovative and play to our strengths. I mean, you look at a Daboll offense, you know, I think one thing that has helped him is him being able to be under Coach Saban. I know he was under Belichick, but being under Coach Saban, having to be able to call a game plan in all different type of forms or fashions. You know, we might have had some, you know, difficult times, but you know, in and in, Daboll was able to bring us a national championship with Tua. You know, granted, Coach Saban had to be on him and in his OCs, but I think that's what helped make Brian Daboll a better head coach, learning from under Nick Saban. And I know he's learned under Belichick. You know, he's coached so many different positions, but I think him being able to learn under head coach Nick Saban has really paid. And I want to say roll tide to all the Bama fans. And let's see, what do you want? How do you want me to use? How do I want Bill O'Brien to use the receivers? You know, basically like I'm talking about Brian Daboll and Kafka. I mean, you watch these guys; they're able to be whenever they need to pass. I think it's multi parts. For me, Bill O'Brien, I want Bill O'Brien to utilize and be creative with the offense. You look at the trends, and like I mentioned, the Kansas City Chiefs. Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid, they play to their strength. They find ways to not have just Patrick Mahomes making the plays, but he's getting Kelsey involved in so many different ways. I feel like that's what we need to be doing with our offense. And I mentioned Brian Daboll with the running game, Saquon Barkley. I mean, the things that they are doing to really punish teams in the fourth quarter is really simple football, which is so funny. It's a lot of I formation. I mean, I've seen lately the football trend of football that I'm learning is a lot of I formation, just really simple single back sets, getting those big guys running, crossing, making them blocks, stand on blocks, running it downhill. And when you hand it to Saquon, he's able to ice the game. So you're controlling the line of scrimmage, controlling the clock, and I feel like that's where I want Bill O'Brien to get with our offense. Maybe we come in with a lot of more I formation just to kind of throw the defense off. We run more downhill. Utilize more of our running backs. Those are the type of things. I feel like that's something that Bill O'Brien can kind of use, play to your playmakers' strengths. So the Giants, like I said, the Kansas City Chiefs, talked about Eric Bieniemy, how you can be really creative. I talked about Brian Daboll, his leadership, and how I feel like him playing to his playmaker strengths. Bill O'Brien needs to utilize that thing. So let's go to a few questions. Let's keep the fans going. They say Matt from Spencer. Matt, do you think Tua should have waited to come back for the fans? Oh, good question. And I love Tua. We all love Tua. I mean, he is our Hawaiian prince. Tua Tagovailoa, he did. It's different layers to this. He is dealing with concussion and protocol, and it was a whole lot of things that happened on and off the field with the medical staff. The NFLPA had to do their review and a lot of investigations. And, Tua is a football player, and I'll just say, he wants to play. But at the same time, he played Sunday. They got the W, so kudos to Tua. But, I think it was, I think Tua having 2 weeks off really helped him when it comes to concussion protocol. And they had the NFL. A lot of people were watching the NFL, seeing how they were handling the situation. So it was good to see Tua back out there. He was playing fearless. Instead of sliding, he was kind of like ducking his head and running just to kind of play. That's the kind of player Tua is. But I think it's fine now that he's played. I think it's important for him and the Dolphins to kind of get that timing down. Tua, he came out that first drive looking very accurate. They scored, but then, some of the plays were a little bit off. Some players from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they dropped, I think, maybe 3 or 4 interceptions. So I think Tua has to, improve in that area. And I think, first thing he really had some rust, but I think Tua is going to roll with the weapons of Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel. And I like Mike McDaniel. So while we're talking about Mike McDaniel, let's talk about the Dolphins. You finally put pieces around Tua. You have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Now, this is how I feel like, I'm saying every topic could be, we're going to find a way to fit it with Alabama. If you look at Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they're inside shifty, deep speed guys. And I feel like with our receivers, we have a variety of receivers. Not just that people think we don't have talent. We have plenty of talent. We have all the pieces. We just need to use them in the right places. I think we need a package that's a Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle type package. Hey, maybe we put a JoJo Earl and a Kobe Prentice together and see what your safeties are going to do. Or, create mismatches and matchup problems. That's what I know. I'm harping on this creativity that I want to see from Bill O'Brien. So Bill O'Brien, if you're listening, please, take heed to the words that I'm saying. But I would love to see Anthony Anderson, Aaron Anderson, the receiver out of Louisiana, those slot guys. I think with Harold coming back, hopefully, O'Brien's able to get in his creative bag, and we can execute and really just utilize the players around Bryce and play to their strengths. So that's kind of what I want to see from Bill O'Brien is hey, let's have creative packages. Like when we have Ja'Cory Brooks, let's have a, single possession plays for him, but let's utilize it. Let's do let's make it. Let's put the pressure back on the defense, and that's I think from Bama fans, I think that's what we want to see from our offense and be able to run the ball. Like let's run. I think me personally, I think we should be using more of our running backs. I literally do. I think we should be we should at least have 4 carries. 4 running backs should have no less than 2 carries a game. I'm serious. I'm literally serious. Um, but yeah, they should have 2 carries, and we should play to their strengths. I think Trey Saunders is a good one cutting downhill guy. I think we could utilize him. Jamarian Miller. I mean, this guy's a freshman, but he seems like really explosive with the ball, being able to do different types of things. Obviously, Jason McKellen. I think we have to get beyond just outside zone with Jahmyr Gibbs. We need to utilize more Roydell Williams, because I feel like Roydell Williams is a type of running back that the more carries he gets, the better it benefits our offense. So somebody said I like to see more of a McElwain offense. And one thing I love about McElwain, he was innovative. We were able to, kind of control the game and things like that. Since we talked about Tua and NFL, the Chiefs, the Giants, and what can we utilize for our offense? They said, how about Mac Jones after being carried off the field by his teammates? How do you feel about Mac Jones? I really feel like this is my biggest issue with the whole Mac Jones situation. I think it was a lot of, from the reports that I've read, I believe that there was a lot of different type of issues regarding the health of Mac Jones. I think when I was my brief stint in the NFL, one thing I know about the NFL, it is a business. That is the number one rule about the NFL. It is 100% a business. So how teams, their medical staff, how they handle things could be different from how the players view it. That's why we have an NFLPA. That's why the commissioners for the owners and the heads of these teams. So at first, I think it was a lot of disagreement with Mac and his injury. I think Mac wanted a second opinion. I think the Patriots thought maybe, hey, you might need surgery. I think Mac thought he did need surgery. So I think you have that aspect. But at the same time, you're dealing with 2 offensive coordinators in Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. And say what you want. We know Bill Belichick is going to get the last call. But I think what happened during camp, Bailey Zappi was able to run the offense a little bit more because he was raw, he was green. He was able to run the offense. And for some odd reason, when Bailey Zappi has played the past 2 games, they looked effective. My biggest issue with Mac Jones is if you're going to play, you're going to play. And another, I think, Mac still's got to execute and make good plays. I know I saw a video today say his ball hit this cable, but I watched the replay. It looked like he could have hit the check down, the tight end who was opening the flat. So I still think Matt needs to get more comfortable at executing the offense with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. And B, I think Joe Judge and Matt Patricia kind of need to call the game how they call it for Bailey Zappi, if that makes sense. And C, I think Bill Belichick, if you're going to start Matt, I think quarterbacks or players need to have a full week of practice. If you have a full week of practice and you show me that you can take on the leadership, boom, I think you can be the starter. But if he's only had 3 days of practice or 2 days of practice, and Bailey Zappi has the other 2 or 3 days, I think you roll with the guy, Bailey Zappi, who's had the most practice. And then maybe next week, after, maybe they played the Chicago Bears, then you bring on Mac Jones. But speaking of the Patriots and the Chicago Bears, one thing I was impressed with was how the Chicago Bears went into Foxborough. Oh my goodness. I mean, they just lined up and smacked them. And one thing I have to give credit to their offensive coordinator. One thing you're going to see a resounding resounding theme here on Football University is how I would talk football and we relate it back to Bama. One thing I love about one thing I'm seeing kind of trending with top offensive coordinators who are creative, but they play to their quarterback strengths. I have to give Luke Getsy a lot of credit. The offensive coordinator, he came from Green Bay Packers under that Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur type of Nathaniel Hackett staff. But he's a great hire. I kind of want him to be one of the offensive coordinators of Alabama. That's my plug. But you look at that game plan. They ran a flawless game plan. They utilize Justin Fields more of design runs. I mean, it was misty, it was wet, and they were able to have a lot of success. Everything they threw at defensively, New England threw at Justin Fields, they were able to capitalize on. And so I say that I think Bill O'Brien, instead of being so reliable on Bryce, let's utilize Bryce's strengths. So like, let's kind of move the pocket. Maybe we put a design run in there. So, just to get Bryce, running down the field, that really opens up layers of the offense. That's how you open up those side screens that, most Bama fans hate that Bill O'Brien calls, that gets negative yards every time. No, you just can't go out there being predictable. Let's move the pocket. Let's get Bryce effective as a runner, because you look at the replays, a lot of times that Bryce is scrambling, I would love for Bryce, instead of scramble backwards, trying to make the, Patrick Mahomes type play. You looking at the replay, sometimes after that second and third read comes off, you look at the replay, the middle of the field is wide open. I need Bryce to take advantage of those yards. And how I relate that to good quarterback play, you look at a Geno Smith. I mean, Seattle's kick, he takes advantage of space. You look at a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, the great Jalen Hurts, who could be an MVP candidate. You look at their system, they take advantage of their playmakers, and they play to the strengths. And at the end of the day, I'm going to stay on Jalen Hurts. I mean, Nick Sirianni, the Eagles, they have a system that is just, they just play to their system is they play to the strengths. And that's what we need to get Bill O'Brien to do, is to play to our players' strengths. Be more creative. So, yeah, talked about the Eagles, talked about Hurts. They have systems. We need to have a system where we dictate to the defense how they're going to play us. And at the end of the day, our quarterback can scramble with their legs, and we can beat you with our arms. So if we could put that more around Bryce Young, I think that would be very effective. Let's go to our callers. Let's see. Do you feel like Nick Saban Jr. says, do you feel like if we ran more crossing patterns, slants, will come back routes, will open up the deep ball? Good question. We got to dissect this. We got to understand Bill O'Brien. This is Football University, fan. So great question. Yes, yes and no. We really haven't taken, many deep shots. To your question, yes, a lot of slants, patterns. But I feel like you're dealing with a different type of offensive coordinator. A lot of criticism is on Bill O'Brien, saying that he's nowhere near as, the upper echelon Saban coordinators, a Sark, a Kiffin, a Loxley, even a Dayball, even a McElwain, to take it back. Those guys, at the end of the day, they were creative, they were innovative, but they knew how to control the game. They had different creative ways, whether personnel groupings or to control the game, to run the game, different types of runs to keep all defenses on their heels. And I think what Bill O'Brien needs to do, he needs to relax and see what his players, his personnel, and play to his players' strengths. If Prentice is doing great, he has another catch, man, let's come back with him. Let's keep feeding him while he's hot. Me coaching, I'm one of those type of players that if they're on fire, let's keep riding them. That opens up different things. Feed it to Bond, JoJo Earl, Anderson, Ja'Cory Brooks. Keep feeding those guys and keep finding their best plays. And if the defense is not going to stop it, well, we're going to keep running it. And to bring it back to Alabama, we obviously saw this in the Tennessee game. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. I think the biggest frustration was we didn't make any adjustments to Josh Heupel, Hendon Hyatt, and Hendon Hooker running the same play over and over. And we didn't make any adjustments. So I feel like we have to do that offensively. If you're not going to stop this, concept or this player, we're going to, keep feeding them and keep riding them until you make that matchup change. And I think that's how you kind of bring back set the tone offensively. And I feel like that's what Bill O'Brien needs to do. Let's see. I'm trying to see something. Okay, let's go to Spencer. I'm trying to scroll. Some of these questions are coming so fast. Do you play with Lane? Do you play with Ricks and Freddie Roach? I played with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach is he was a dog, man. He was a dog linebacker. He had a brief stint with the New England Patriots. Freddie's a good recruiter. One thing I do like what Freddie is doing. We're playing a lot of guys up front. I think that's one thing I could see Alabama doing. I think that's what you're going to have to do in the age of NIL, the transfer portal. I think you're going to have to play more guys. You just can't roll with just your same 11 guys for 4 quarters. But at the same time, I think that only makes you better as a team in the long run. The more depth you have, the more guys you can play. I think Saturday, we didn't have Otis. We didn't have Jaheim Otis. We didn't have, I don't think Tim Smith was out there. So we had to play Payne and Burrows. I thought Burrows, filled in admirably. My what I want to see more of the defensive line is, getting pressure, obviously, but getting off blocks. The quicker they get off the blocks and kind of reestablish the line of scrimmage and set the line of scrimmage in the backfield, know what's coming, get off the block. If the running back's right there, the quarterback hit him right then and there, and be knock the ball down, try to knock the ball down, and be able to stop the runs. If we can handle that up front, and I think I'm confident in Freddie and the coaching staff. I think after losing to Tennessee, I think Coach Saban is not going to take more of the COO approach or the CEO approach. He's going to really have to be assertive and make sure, A, his coordinators have a good game plan, and B, we got to be able to make adjustments. We have to be able to make adjustments in game, and Saban is known for that. So we just need to get back to that. Somebody said, let's go back to Nick Saban Jr. He said the Seahawks are using Geno Smith very well. Kudos to you. I totally agree. This is one thing. We're all football fans, and at the end of the day, I'm not doing too great in fantasy, but that's neither here nor there. I love looking at teams like Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has embraced his talent. He has an effective defense. I don't know if anybody's paid attention to the Seattle Seahawks defense, but they got a lot of freshman rookies who are making plays. They have a cornerback who's got like 5 picks. He's unreal. A lot of guys, they have Kobe Bryant from Cincinnati. We played against Cincinnati's team in the playoffs. They present with Sauce Gardner. They present a lot of challenges defensively, but we were able to run the ball with Brian Robinson and make plays. Shout out to Brian Robinson, because the Commanders since Brian Robinson's been back in the lineup, I think the Commanders are 2-0. So I think it's going to be great. So let's see. I'm trying to read. I got this. Yeah, my favorite also favorite game. Let's see. Should we go to Spencer has another good question. Should we go to a two running back set and run Gibbs out of the backfield to pull a linebacker? I think it's a lot of things we can do. I think offensively we're a little bit too predictable. Offensively, just when it's like, okay, you see Gibbs in the backfield, Bryce is in shotgun. If we run the ball, we're running outside zone because obviously that's Gibbs outside, best play. So my argument is, well, let's run different type of running plays. It doesn't have to be all outside zone. It could be inside. It could be some counters. It could be, we're putting guys in motions. It could be some arc screens. It can be some quarterback runs. I mean, you look at LSU. I know we got LSU another week from now. But God, those guys are playing, lights out. They have a good system with Jaden Daniels, where they're able to, um, I think their offense is pretty simple, but I think going up against our defense, we'll be able to take advantage and really. Our key is just to really put Jaden Daniels in a force him cover up their receivers and make sure we cover them up with legs. And I think we need to be able to put points and run the ball versus LSU and Baton Rouge. And I think if we do that, we should be victorious. Okay, let's go. Thank you, Eric Ross. Let's see. Eric Ross says, I think Freddie Roach would be a good defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts? I think he's a bright young guy, great recruiter. Sometimes, because Freddie has that linebacker background, he played with D'Amico Ryans. You look at D'Amico Ryans being the D coordinator at the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of Bama faithful remember those hard-hitting linebackers. Some people envisioned D'Amico wanting to come back, maybe call the defense or, do something in some capacity at Alabama. Because those guys know the way they play, they're physical, they have good schemes. But I think Ferry would be a good defensive coordinator, just like D'Amico Ryans. But kudos to D'Amico Ryans. Let's see. And then Nick Saban Jr. has another good question with the center, McLaughlin and Dalcourt. I know I kind of sound like a broken record saying we have to play more guys, but I think we have to be able to change it up in a game. My biggest if we play Dalcourt, but why don't we play Seth McLaughlin too? Like, let's play Seth, maybe 2 drives, change the dynamic. Maybe we do more run scheme because we're already rotating the offensive linemen. We're playing Cohen, we're playing Booker, we're playing Randolph. We got packages with Randolph's, all those type of things. So, yes, I think we should be playing. I think in the age of NIL and transfer portal, you just can't roll with just your same 11 guys for 4 quarters. And I think that just makes you a better team in the long run. Just playing more guys and just mixing up. But Alabama's offense needs to get back to putting the pressure on defenses where we're going to pound you to death. We're going to mix in play action. We're going to play to our player strength. And if you don't stop it, we're going to put up all these points on you, and we're going to control the game, control the line of scrimmage. So, yes, we do need to play. My opinion, I think we need to play both McLaughlin and Dalcourt and mix it up, keep defenses on their heels. Okay, let's see. Somebody said, please bring back the jumbo package. Yes, bring back all the packages. Jumbo packages, any type of creative. I say bring back the Wildcat, baby. Like, I can only imagine what we could do with not only Gibbs in there as Wildcat, but a Kendrick Law. That's what I want to talk about. Let's talk. This is the football university. I feel like we should be using Kendrick Law like a Deebo Samuel or a Cordero Patterson. You watch the Atlanta Falcons. They put Cordero Patterson in the backfield, receiver, slot. You look at when last year, for instance, when Kyle Shanahan was in his bag in the playoffs, going to Dallas, beating Green Bay in the snow, Lambeau, nobody does that. He was able to utilize, and he had Jimmy G, and Jimmy G did not have the best game, but we need to be able to mix it up and be creative. If we could utilize Kendrick Law in the backfield, because he's another one of those players like a Roy Dale Williams, that the more touches you give him in creative ways, the better off your offense is. So I say we put him in the backfield just to kind of, you never know. We need to get back and establishing who we are as an offense and putting fear into the defenses where they are confused and they don't know what's coming. So, like, let's get back to that. Let's utilize Q. I know I sound like a broken record. Bill O'Brien, get creative, find some type of way to utilize your playmakers and your players and play to their strengths until defenses stop it. And let's roll with it. That's all those great. You look at the top NFL teams right now. The Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy, creative offensive play calling with Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. They have. I watched their game. I watched their film. Just about. I don't want to spill all the sauce because I don't want the Eagles to be mad. But their system makes defenses have, and they went against Dallas, and Dallas has elite defense. We all know Trevon Diggs. I mean, this guy's had like 17 picks in the last 2 years. Micah Parsons, who I feel like Will Anderson needs to be more like. We need Will Anderson to be more of that dogmatic dog. But I think Dallas Turner has been showing me a lot lately, consistently. When I watch the Bama games, putting him at linebacker, I noticed that's what Pete Golden did to really help with this untempo defense. And I really liked it. I feel like that really utilizing Dallas's talent, and you can really mismatch him on the outside, on the inside. I noticed he did it with Henry Totu. But hey, Pete, let's utilize Lawson, let's utilize Moody, let's utilize all these guys. You have the pieces where we are mixed matching personnels. If we have a cheetah package for Will Anderson, Braswell, Dallas Turner, let's have a cheetah package for our linebackers, or let's have a cheetah package for our stars or our monies. Because we're going to need it if we play Tennessee again. Let's just be honest. We're going to need a cornerback cheetah package. I think you have Ricks, and Ricks is unreal. Ricks is so good that he's able to help. You really basically have two number one corners. Now offenses are going to say where they would just put the number one on Ricks and go to the other side. Now that really kind of mix it up. So now Alabama is kind of going back to really setting the tone on defense. And I think it was a brilliant move. I don't know if it was Coach Saban, whoever, Coach T-Rob, whoever. But I think having Ricks come back, that really helps the dynamic of our defense because as you can see, we were mixing up coverages, really confusing Will Rogers. I think that helps the dynamic of our defense. But with Brian Branch is ultra talented, Malachi Moore. I think our next, you have to be able to have your Brian Branches or Malachi Moore are guys that have coverage skills that can play safety positions as well. So that I think Terrion Arnold, if you look at his highlight tape from high school, the guy can play corner, star, money, safety. He has to be that next guy. We have to incorporate him into the defense as an all-do-it type of player because I think we're going to need his coverage skills when we play a team like Tennessee, maybe in the SEC championship again. If we want to be able to stop that passing games, we're going to have a air cheetah package where we are able to, fight fighter jets with fighter jets, baby, like Top Gun. We got to fight Maverick with Maverick. So let's put Terrion Arnold as a Swiss Army knife in our defense. So Let's go to the questions. Uh, how do I feel about Christian Leary? I think Christian Leary is really talented. Like I said, I think we need to be utilizing more guys and playing to their strengths. Whatever plays that work for them that they feel comfortable doing, let's run them. Like let's put these pieces around Bryce and really help Bryce to be really effective and not having to be so reliant on Bryce. Let's go. Um, do you think DeMarco Hellams needs to be the spy of Jaden Daniels because he's great playing in the box and stopping the shot plays that happen in front of him? Yes. Like I said, we need to be creative. Pete Goldie, you need to be creative as well. I mean, you look at these. Football is so simple at the end of the day. You look. I watch the Philadelphia Eagles defensively, and they are putting on a clinic. They have Bradbury at corner, Slay at corner, um, and Gardner Johnson at like safety that can play star. Not only are these, and they rush forward at all times, and I feel like that's how you kind of have to attack these teams. You need to be able to rush forward. If we play Tennessee again, we need to be able to rush forward and you know do whatever, rush forward at all times. We have to be able to put pressure on the quarterback and be able to stop the run at the same time and rotate guys. Like that way, guys are so winded, play more guys. But back to my main point, the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I think everybody watched this Monday night game with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they're so innovative. I mean, they just dictate how the offense has to play. Yeah, they were going against Cooper Rush, but they had like 3 picks. And when I watched Darius Slade um, intercept the ball, this guy doesn't even touch the receiver. He never touched the receiver, and I feel like that's one thing with these SEC officials calling PIs a little bit hyper aggressively towards Alabama receivers. I mean, defensive backs. A, we need to teach our guys, if they're going to touch the guys, touch them low. Don't touch them, have your arm around them because they're obviously having a hyper focus on our DBs. And then when the receiver goes to break the ball, I know it sounds easier talking about it, but what I saw Darius Slay do, he just plays the ball. When the receiver goes to catch the ball, he turns around and catches the ball. So bear with me, football university. I will be able to incorporate hopefully these highlights for you all. But yeah, I think we could use DeMarco Hellams in the box against Jaden Daniels. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he can cover. He can cover a running back, but you can do a lot of guys. You can use Toto. You can use Deontay Lawson. I think it's important you kind of have a spy on your quarterback, especially these running quarterbacks that we're about to see. And you got to think a lot of guys want to run inside run. Alabama still needs to be able to reset the line of scrimmage when it comes to these teams on inside runs and stop the run. So, yeah, somebody says, I want to see Arnold play safety. Me too. I think like I said, I think he's a great Swiss Army knife for us. Let's see what else we have. But yeah, it is. I think that's what Alabama needs to get back to the Bama. We have to be creative, and I think the more creative, and I think it's important. Coach Saban, like I said, keeps his foot on his coordinators' necks and everybody's necks, and stay hard on those guys like he was hard on us. He maybe have to use a few 4-letter words, but at the end of the day, we need to get back to playing our type of style football and taking the game to the opponents and not necessarily being so predictable and letting them take the game to us. Let's be creative and take the game to them, and we're going to need it. And let's put our players in the best position to succeed. And I think it's important as coaches that they do that, and because we're going to need it if we want to get to the prize at the end. We're going to have to take steps and continue to evolve and improve better. Let's see. The Eagles are playing good. So funny thing, I follow all this Twitter. Follow me, Caddell 11. But can you imagine Bills Mafia and the Philadelphia Eagles fly fan base for a Super Bowl? Do you think they were able to contain that? That is going to be insane. But yeah, like I said, the Eagles, go and watch those guys play defense. I mean, they have put on a clinic from week 1 to week 7. Another team that I really like, Buffalo Bills. They got Joe Brady. He's kind of the quarterback coach. I kind of wanted him to be the OC at Alabama. Um, but he's just one of those guys. He's the quarterback coach, and I believe Ken Dorsey, the former Miami quarterback, is the OC. He has the famous scene when Tua, the Miami Dolphins, played in that hot game down in South Beach. That last play, he had that rant where he was just throwing the papers and just going outrageous. One thing I learned about him is that he's aggressive, man, and he has so many. The way they practice, the way they utilize Josh Allen plays to his strengths. They call plays with an aggressive approach. I mean, they went into the Chiefs and beat the Chiefs like it was nothing. So that's something, watching these games, watching the Bills, watching the Eagles, watching the Chiefs, watching all the common things that these top teams have, and how what we need to incorporate that in Alabama football. I think it goes back to Bill O'Brien being creative, being innovative, and playing to your players' strengths, and really utilizing the talent that you have and not being so Bryce heavy. Like, let's mix it up. Let's put the pressure back on these defenses. Um, Good question. Great points. Who do you think should be our safeties? I think we have room for all three safeties. Like, I think you just need to continue to play more guys because A, that gives them more experience. You're generating more depth. Okay, you can't go wrong with depth because we're in the SEC. We're in the SEC West. You got to go through the SEC championship. You got to go through the playoffs. So the more guys that you can play and play to their strengths, and you're and B, you're building their confidence. You're building them up. Now these guys have a barometer of, man, I need to step my game up. I need to improve. I need to work on my craft because I've been thrown in the fire. That just helps our team play better. So we have more guys that are ready to go out there and play Alabama football. But yeah, I think it should be Battle, Helms, and I think you should rotate. Branch sometime at safety, Malachi Moore at safety, Terrion Arnold, maybe put Terrion Arnold at star or money inside. Just mix it up. We have the pieces to the puzzle. We just gotta put the pieces and utilize them and let's make a masterpiece. Let's see. But I think the more versatile and multiple we are, the more we can play to it. It's important that the coaches are not only multiple and versatile, but we have a plan for any type of situation because we have so much talent. Let's just play more guys and see what all they can do, and that just helps us in the long run. And we're going to need it if we're going to, win the West, win the SEC championship, and win the playoffs. Let's see. Do you feel Matt? Who do you feel could beat Jalen Hurts out of being MVP? I kind of mentioned those two names. I think it's kind of a three, offensively, quarterback wise, because they love to give the MVP to a quarterback. Obviously, it's going to be Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I feel like they're kind of tier one. And Jalen Hurts they are tier one. But I feel like if you poll majority of the people, if you ask them who's the top two in the MVP race, a lot of people will say probably Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. So I feel like those are Jalen's biggest competition. But Jalen Hurts is efficient. He's effective. The system that they run, they put pressure on defenses where he's making the plays, he's throwing the ball, they're open up receivers with AJ Brown. I was reading this watching this tweet of how Nick Sirianni uses his players, and that's what Bill O'Brien has to do is utilize his players. Listen, AJ Brown is gonna get his 6 or 7 touches, and that just automatically forces the defense to play AJ Brown, which opens up Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard with the tight end. So if we do that, we just need to establish. It doesn't have. We can figure out. Brooks can be our AJ Brown, but let's feed them. Make sure they get their touches, where it opens up a whole nother dynamic of the offense that we can take it to these defenses. And I think that's what Bill O'Brien for the next level. I think he's just got to be more creative and be more aware of the football situation of the game. So I feel like it's Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen who could beat Jalen Hurts for MVP. So let's have a few more questions. Let's see what I want to cover. We covered Mac, we covered Tua, we covered the NFL, we covered X's and O's, who has really good systems. Like I said, I think what I'm seeing in just football in general, the NFL, I mean, a lot of guys run the I formation, and I know the spread and gun is so effective, but you look at the teams who are winning, I mean, they're able to be multiple offensively, shotgun, pistol, I formation. I feel like those teams who are able to do kind of all three, those are the guys who probably be in the Super Bowl. And I think that's what Alabama has to be able to do. We use more pistol, use more single back look. It doesn't have to be all shotgun. Maybe use Robbie Oots on inside runs or Latu on inside runs or pull guards, just different type of ways to put matchups on linebackers on teams where we can control the line of scrimmage, control the ball, run the ball, and find different ways to get points. And I think once we get that, that's going to be kind of our next tier in offense. And I think, hopefully with Harold getting back healthy, Anderson coming back healthy, JoJo Earl, and feed these running backs and being creative and playing to their strengths, I think that's going to help us in the long run kind of get to that next level because we're going to need it. We're going to need it going to Ole Miss, going to LSU, Auburn, playing Auburn at the crib, Iron Bowl. It's always a tough game, and SEC championship, and then the playoffs. So, we're going to have to be able to get back to really imposing our will on offenses and being creatives and forcing you to defend matchups. One good thing I will say, as frustrated as we are with Bill O'Brien, like you never know. You don't know how to game plan because you don't know what he's going to call, but he is predictable at the same time, so he's got to, utilize all the creativity in the offense and just play to his players' strength. And I think that just makes it a lot better. So that will conclude the end of Football University. I want to say thank you all for tuning in. This is my first time, so kind of bear with me. Shouts out to the CTS Sports Room, all the people. But at the end of the day, roll tide. Let's do this. We're gonna figure out ways to make Alabama football roll, and just talk football and have a good time. So, go out there, do your thing, everybody. Have a safe week. Roll tide. Enjoy the bye week. And I'll see you next week on Football University. All right.